Ooh, good morning or good afternoon for those of you on the East Coast. All right. Well, it sounds like the audio is sounding pretty good. So it's been a while since I did a live stream. I know I was gone for about a month, but I'm gonna get back into it. Had a nice break and everything. Hope everyone's been doing well. 2025 has been weird. It's been kicking off a lot of news, and I know we have a lot of Q&As going on. So feel free to put them in the chat if you have any Q&As. And this is also being live streamed to my private group. So if you do want to join my private group, you can go to firesightchat.com/community. Okay, so but anyway, welcome to another public live stream session. And man, am I super fired up to go over some Q&As, but most importantly, why so many high income earners or millionaires feel like they're still poor. So imagine earning six figures and still feeling like you're barely scraping by. So for many high income earners, the weight of expenses, lifestyle inflation, and societal expectations can make financial success feel like anything but wealth. And I know many of you in the comment section will say something like, how can you feel poor when you make $100,000 or 200,000 or $300,000 a year? Or how can you feel poor when you're a millionaire? I don't know why my voice sounded like that, but here's the truth. A lot of times you're dealing with your emotions instead of numbers, because take a look at this, okay? Not this, this. Did you know that over 70% of millionaires don't consider themselves wealthy? And that's according to a 2024 Northwestern Mutual Research study. And according to this article, what's behind the surprising self perception is not just about how much money they have, but how they measure up in a world where the definition of wealth keeps shifting. And 70% is a big number. That's 7 out of 10 millionaires. And those numbers can be discouraging for those who are actively trying to save and invest in their financial freedom. But don't get this article or this research wrong. Having a seven-figure net worth or seven-figure investments is a major milestone. And if it was so easy, why do only 6.5%, 6.5% of Americans have a net worth in the seven figures or more? And that's 1 in 15 Americans. So if people try to diminish the milestones of becoming a millionaire, don't listen to them. It's not easy to achieve. But why do 7 out of 10 people don't feel rich? 7 out of 10 millionaires do not feel rich or feel the wealth. The value of a dollar depends on where you live and how much your neighbors earned. In cities like San Francisco, DC, or New York, I was just in DC and New York, covering childcare and keeping up with the rising cost of living can be a struggle. And I know this because, as I said, I just got back from DC and New York City. Having been to those expensive cities myself, I can honestly tell you that a Caesar salad in Vegas at $6 could be $15 or $20 if you order in New York or DC. And retiring in DC or New York with $1 million is probably not going to be enough in the future, but it may be enough to retire in a low cost of living area like in the Midwest or maybe overseas. And another survey that was done by Charles Schwab showed that Americans they believe having $2.5 million in net worth is the milestone to be considered wealthy. But what does it actually mean to live on 2.5 million? If I asked a normal person who doesn't understand the 4% withdrawal rule, they would just simply tell me that they don't know, but they feel like it's enough, right? 2.5 million net worth. Well, I'm a multimillionaire. Because remember that being wealthy is relative. The value of a dollar depends entirely on your overall expenses. If your cost of living continues to increase, you're going to eventually feel like 2.5 million is not going to be enough to live on, even if you understand the 4% withdrawal. Okay. And you have to remember that when it comes to being wealthy, it's all a numbers game. And the biggest question I always ask is, if you can live on your investments without an active income, are you financially free from working a 9 to 5 job? How do you know if you're truly financially free with a 2.5 million net worth, making $200,000 a year? There's 2.5 million tied up in real estate. There's 2.5 million all in cash or is it all in investments? So let me give you the breakdown, okay? And you can download my net worth calculator by visiting fivesightshare.com/resources. You can also join my private group by visiting fivesightshare.com/community, where I give more detailed net worth updates to my private community members. But anyway, if you say that you have 2.5 million in net worth, will make you feel wealthy, then I want you to look at the following three scenarios and tell me which one makes you feel wealthy. And this is scenario number one. 60% of your net 2.5 million is the equity of your home at 1.5 million. You have 750,000 in your 401k and IRA, and the rest of it is in $250,000 in cash and taxable investments. All right. Now, scenario number two, 40% of your 2.5 million is the equity of your home at $1 million. You have $1 million in your 401k and IRA, and the rest of the $500,000 is in cash and brokerage accounts. Okay. Now, scenario number three, 30% of your 2.5 million is the equity of your home at 750,000, and you have 750,000 in your 401k and IRA, and the rest of 1 million is sitting in cash and taxable investments. So let's break it down. The first scenario has a sizable equity in your home, but remember right here, okay, you cannot touch the equity of your home unless you sell your home or borrow against it. And I never recommend taking out a HELOC or a home equity loan. So that's out of the question for me. And you have $750,000 in your 401k and IRA and other 401k type plans that are tied up until you're 59 and a half. So as far as your liquidity goes, you really just have $250,000 in cash and taxable investments that you can access. And if you're not anywhere close to being 59 and a half, then just having 250,000 is not going to be enough to retire, right? And if people think that this is not a realistic scenario, I have clients who, multi-million clients who have questions about this and say, I do not feel wealthy. I don't feel like I'm ready to retire. And when I go through all of their net worth statement and their investment accounts, and it shows that most of them are tied up in their home equity or something else, yeah, it makes sense, okay? Now, scenario number two shows a fairly balanced net worth. You got $1 million in home equity, $1 million in retirement, and $500,000 in cash and investments. Okay, so that's the cash and cash equivalent assets. And how you feel about having $1 million in your retirement and $500,000 in cash and taxable investments, it's going to depend on your age. So if you have this net worth in your 30s, well done. You're so far ahead of the game. But you may not feel wealthy because that $1 million is still tied up in your retirement accounts. And scenario number three is much more balanced, in my opinion, probably even better than scenario number two. You have 30% in home equity, you have 30% in retirement, and you have 40% in cash and taxable investments. Is $1 million enough to retire if you're not anywhere near 59 and a half? It really depends on your overall expenses and if you have any additional income sources. And maybe you plan to retire early, that is somewhere more remote or somewhere with a lower cost of living. And I know people who want to live overseas, like Europe or Mexico or somewhere else in Asia, Thailand. Those are all lower cost of living, right? It's much cheaper than retiring in the US. And a lot of people on their lean fire, okay? So lean, I'm going to talk about that in a future video, but lean fire journey, they do plan to retire with less than 1 million and 1.25 million at the most in taxable investments. So it's absolutely doable. And I think lean fire people are the most special people because they are so frugal. Their frugality makes them more unique than any other fire strategy. So the bottom line is that 2.5 million is not a one size fits all answer for everyone. I don't think the survey does anyone a favor because it actually discourages people from saving and investing. And now that media is saying that $1 million is not enough, and it's not what it used to be. You need to have a complete breakdown of your net worth statement. How much of your net worth is sitting in home equity? And because you're not going to be able to retire with a large home equity since it's all tied up in real estate, right? How much do you have in your retirement accounts that you cannot touch until you're 59 and a half? And so if you're truly trying to retire early, way before, let's say in your early 50s or maybe in your 40s, You need to look at your income sources, like your real estate income, business income, dividend income, and early pension income, like your military retirement or VA disability or something else. After you figure out your monthly and annual cash flow from those income streams, then you want to calculate how much money you need to have invested to pay for the remaining expenses using the capital gains from your taxable investments. Not having a complete picture of your expenses is going to become a problem. And that's why you don't feel wealthy, because you don't know where your money is going and how much you really need in order to retire, right? And another contributing factor to high income earners feeling poor is that they don't know, as I said, what when their money is coming in or where their money is going, and they're not keeping track of their expenses. You need to have a complete picture of your discretionary and non-discretionary expenses. You're not Congress. You're supposed to keep track of where all of your dollars are going. And lifestyle creep can eat into your take-home income. And I'm not talking about buying a Lambo or a mansion. I'm talking about the choices that you make on a daily basis. You may be someone who will never take your kids to a public school because you make over $200,000 a year. And that's a choice that you made to put them in a private school that costs you tens of thousands of dollars per year. You may be someone who spends more money on dining out to save you time, but in reality, you're just spending more money for convenience. And you may be someone, paying more money on rent or mortgage payments because someone told you that your $200,000 income can afford it. With housing prices at an all-time high in 2025, it is now even more difficult than ever to buy a home. But when you break that 25% rule to never exceed 25% of your income towards your mortgage or rent, your take-home income is going to start to take a hit little by little. And I get the urge to buy a house because renting an apartment or a house can make you feel like you lack ownership of your residence. I get it. I've been there. But you should have your housing expenses under control. Okay. So this is how you can break down your expenses so that you can feel like you're in control. People don't feel like they're wealthy because they don't feel like they're in control of their money, inflow and outflow. So, one, you need to know how much or what you need to survive. And that's also called the non discretionary expenses. Every person on their financial independence journey has this breakdown. What do you need to survive on? It is groceries, housing, utilities, communications, transportation, and insurance in that order. Okay. So that is the priority order because groceries do not include dining out at a restaurant or doing a takeout. You just need to find out how much you're spending uh, on groceries so that you don't starve to death. And housing is what you need to pay your rent or mortgage to keep a roof over your head. How much do you need to pay every month so that you do not become homeless? Utilities are what you need to keep your home running, electricity, gas, water, and trash. How much do you need to pay every month so that you can shower with hot water? And communication is a category for the internet and cell phones to maintain communication with your job and family. How much do you need to pay at a bare minimum to keep your cell phone and the cheapest internet service? Transportation is what you get from point A to point B. It doesn't mean that you have to have a vehicle. How much does it cost to get weekly passes for the metro in your city? How much does it cost to put gas in your car every month? If you have a car payment, you need to include that here, but only on a temporary basis because you're not looking to keep that car payments for the rest of your life, right? And insurance is a must in many states, like car insurance, homeowners insurance, or medical insurance. How much does it cost to maintain those insurance policies so that you don't die in the ER or end up paying tens of thousands of dollars for someone else's vehicle because you decided to text and drive? So these are all of your non-discretionary expenses. So let's say you need $4,000 a month to maintain these expenses. I always recommend having 1 month of non-discretionary expenses in your checking account. So in this case, $4,000 in your checking account. Then I recommend having an additional 5 months of expenses, okay, in your emergency fund. So that would be $20,000. And you want to put it in a high yield savings account paying you 4% in APY. So in this case, again, you're going to have $20,000 or 5 months of expenses sitting in your emergency fund paying you 4% APY. So you're going to have a total of $24,000 in liquid cash. This is your starting point. Okay. Then you want to look at what else you spend on, and that is considered discretionary. A discretionary expense is considered non-essential or something you choose to spend money on, but not necessary for survival. And these expenses include entertainment, dining out, luxury, or convenience. So let's say you're going to spend another, I'm going to put $3,000 a month on dining out, streaming services, travel and vacations, designer clothing, hobbies, concerts, movies, and video games. And that's going to be $36,000 a year. Okay. All right. So if you need right here, it says 48K per year to maintain those non-discretionary expenses and 36,000 a year to maintain your discretionary or entertainment expenses. So to calculate your financial independence number, you need to first multiply 48,000 by 25, and that's going to give you $1.2 million. And that is just the non-discretionary expenses. So if you have $1.2 million in your taxable brokerage account, let's say at the age of 40, you can technically retire without your 9-to-5 job because your taxable investments of 1.2 million theoretically will pay for your non-discretionary expenses. Because if you do 1.2 million multiplied by 4% withdrawal rate, that's going to give you $48,000 a year. But if you're not looking to retire until you're 60, then that 1.2 million can come from your 401k, IRA, or other retirement accounts when you're eligible to withdraw from them at the age of 59.5. That makes sense so far, right? But what if you have additional income sources coming in, like a real estate income at $2,000 a month or $24,000 a year? And we'll just say you have a Social Security pension coming in or other pension income coming in, okay? Now, here's what you're going to do. I'm going to go to, let me see if I can go to a blank sheet of paper, all right? So for your non-discretionary, this is all your essential expenses. Let's say it's 48K per year, and you have real estate coming in at 24K per year. This is your passive income now because you already paid off your real estate property, or this is the net profit that is coming in every single year. Then you're going to subtract 24,000 from 48,000 because that's the income you're likely going to have throughout your lifetime unless you decide to sell your rental property. So now you subtract that. Now you only have $24,000 a year. Okay. So if you multiply that by 25, and that's going to give you, oh, solve. Yes. Hey, there you go. Thanks, AI. $600,000 invested in your taxable brokerage account if you're retiring before age 59.5, or your 401k, IRA, and other retirement accounts if you're looking to retire after age 59.5. That makes sense so far, right? And as far as your discretionary expenses go, you're going to do the same thing. Okay. So what did I say earlier? It was $900,000 invested, was it? Nope. What did I? 36,000. Okay. So let me go down here. And let's say this is the discretionary expenses. So these are all your entertainment. These are all your wants. Okay. And you calculate that and say 36,000 a year. All right. And multiply by 25 equals, yay, look at that. AI just solves it for me, or not. It did not. But that was going to solve it for me. Weird. Solve. Hey, there you go. $900,000 a year, or I'm sorry, $900,000 invested. So this tells you that 1.2 million here up top. Let's say you don't have the real estate income. I'm going to do a different color here. So you have 1.2 million without the real estate income. And after the real estate income is $600,000, not a year. Sorry, let me take that off. invested. Okay. So 1.2 million will give you financial independence to pay for your non-discretionary expenses. Okay. Another $900,000. I'm going to take that out because we don't need, that's not a year. It doesn't erase. So $900,000 total. All right. That's going to give you financial independence to pay for your discretionary expenses on top of the non-discretionary expenses. So what's considered financially independent will depend on the access to your accounts, which is tied to your age. And are you going to have access to all 2.1 million in your retirement accounts, or is it going to be just your brokerage account? How many income streams or income sources will you have in addition to the investments? Again, what's considered wealthy is not based on your income, but it really depends on your expenses. Your cost of living will increase. So the basic rule of thumb is to increase your expenses by 2 to 2.5% annually. But you have to calculate this every single year. Otherwise, it becomes pointless because you'll lose track of your financial independence goal. And you don't have to retire early, but you have to know at what point you're going to be financially free. And in this example, it is $2.1 million. And you also have to remember that taxes can play a big part in your financial independence journey. And living on $200,000 a year in California is not the same as $200,000 a year in Las Vegas. So you have to consider, if living in expensive cities like New York, California, or Illinois, not cities, but states, is a viable option. You may be financially independent a lot sooner if you decide to retire in a non-state income tax state like Florida, Texas, Washington, Tennessee, or Nevada, and a few other states that I forget the name. Wyoming is one of them. You may end up downsizing your home too to free up the home equity so that you can live on that to retire early in a different state. These are the different types of situations that you're going to need to consider. Personal finance is personal for a reason, right? Not everyone is going to need 2.5 million to be wealthy or to retire early. Getting to a 7-figure net worth is difficult. So don't let the media bring you down, and take the time to reach out to a professional to discuss your financial future. And feel free to go to firestatechat.com/consultation to schedule a 60-minute session with me, and let me know in the comment section down below what your fire number is. All right, cool. So let me go over some Q&A. I hope that kind of helped and went over a lot of the numbers. So here, feel free to take a screenshot of it if you need to. But always remember to break down your discretionary and non-discretionary expenses. So I've been budgeting for a long time. And one thing I did find out from, you know what, forget it. Okay, I can't even erase it. One thing I do realize, talking to a lot of my clients and people who I spend the time with and going over their finances, it comes down to this: is not categorizing non-discretionary and discretionary, your needs and wants. People think that sending their kids to private school is a need. It's not. It really isn't. I have a daughter. She's in a public school system. She will be fine. Some schools are terrible, and I'm speaking from Vegas. The Vegas school system is absolutely garbage, right? If you're watching this from Vegas, let me know in the comment section down below. But it's atrocious, the public school system, but it is not a requirement. Sorry, I have something slipping underneath my desk. It is not a requirement for people to send their kids over to private schools. You do not need to eat out every single time. I'm fine. I'm financially doing great. I hit my 7-figure net worth back in 2020. Of all the years, I still eat at home. I still eat my leftovers. I love to go out to eat, right? There are some things that I won't do anymore. Like I'll always hire someone to come clean the house and everything so I can save up more time, but I'm not going to eat out every single day. Stuff like that, right? So always keep an eye on what you actually spend on. And we have the awesome private client program. there are so many people now, which is amazing that I get to go over their personal finances and just kind of break down what they do, um, everything. It's just amazing that I get to work with them on an individual level and just say, hey, you're on track, or you're behind, or you're kind of on track to become whatever, right? This is how many years it's going to take you to become a millionaire and stuff like that. So take a look. You can go to firestarchat.com, and we have a lot of free resources, calculators that you can download. Those are all absolutely free. Okay. I do. Okay. Let me say hi real quick. Hi. I don't know. TX, Texas, Aaron. 15. If you put 15%, is it on my full gross income or after medical and taxes? Okay. So let me go to the full screen here. Are you talking about the Roth 401k? So if you put Roth 401k, so that is based on your after that. Well, that would be based on your gross earnings, right? So you have if you're looking at a pay stub, you're gonna see the gross earnings. You're gonna see your deductions and all that. But because this is a Roth contribution, this is an after-tax contribution. So your taxes, if you look at the federal income tax deduction rule, or the column, you're going to see the federal income tax. I don't know what state you're in. It looks like you may have a state income tax. Those are going to be calculated based on the after deductions if you have the Roth or traditional. Okay. Pay stubs, some pay stubs are just terrible to look at. They don't really do a good job at explaining. I have seen some incredible pay stubs where employers do a really detailed breakdown for their employees. Imagine my payrolls, right? For my guys, they have a very detailed breakdown of what each item is, and so that they understand this is your gross income, this is your 401k contributions, this is how much you need to pay towards the federal income tax, and this is your effective tax rate, all that stuff. But yes, just to answer your question, Roth is going to be it's an after-tax contribution. Okay. And for book recommendations, so if you see in the back right there, this book, The Millionaire Next Door, that's what I started with. So The Millionaire Next Door was one of the first books that I read when I had over $110,000 in debt. I had credit card debt, $47,000. I had personal loans. I went through a divorce. This is back in 2013. And I went through all I got a personal loan out, took out a loan against my TSP, which is the federal government version of the 401k at the time. That was when I was on active duty in the military too. So when I read that book, that was eye-opening. That was just kind of like something hit a switch in my head, in my brain, and say, you've been dumb and you need to do this, right? And besides that book, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was eye-opening as well. But Psychology of Money was really good. But I would definitely go with the Millionaire Next Door first. That's always going to be the first one I always recommend. And there's so many things. I'm more into like books about businesses now. I've been running this business officially since 2021, and with my clients just kind of start to build up even more. I hired I think I hired 5 people this year. So I want to be a better boss, right? So my fundamentals when it comes to running a business is I'm I'm always going to treat people how I want to be treated. I don't treat people like crap because something didn't get done. I want to find out why that didn't get done. Maybe it is a performance issue. All right. That I don't have any problems, letting them go. But maybe it is me who is doing the terrible job at explaining how things are supposed to get done. And there are a lot of impatient bosses that I know in the sector, and I really hope that people can do better, because I want people to work for me, not because they have to work, to get the money. And I think for the most part, a lot of people enjoy working here. So I do appreciate everyone working on all the videos too. let's see. Let me answer some of the questions from the private group. Um, okay. Okay. So this person is asking me, can you go over the different fire numbers? How do I know which one is right for me? Okay. I love this one. So let me go over this with you. There are so many Reddits or whatever that you can follow, but there are a lot of resources that you can find. There's no like a perfect guide to how much money you need to invest by. But when it comes to different fire number, again, it goes back to your expenses, right? You're gonna love this name, and I love this name. This is poverty fire. It's a real thing. It really is. Poverty fire. You're like, wait, so does that mean that I'm financially independent from being at the poverty line, or how does that work, right? I had the same question too. I was like, who named that? So if you look up the Census Bureau, there is a income for poverty for 2024. So when I looked it up last year in 2024, it was $15,000 a year. Okay. So if your income is above 15 grand a year, you're above the poverty line. Okay. When your investments, okay, let me do this, 15,000 times 25, solve. So what this means is that when your investments hit $375,000, you hit the poverty fire. So what that means that you can survive at the above the poverty line when you retire early. So that's kind of like the first goal or the milestone that you want to get to is 375,000. Because if you do 375,000 multiplied by 4%, and that's going to get you okay. So I guess that didn't show up. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, I'm just gonna put down 375K on there. Um, but that's gonna give you $15,000 a year if you use the 4% withdrawal rate. The next one is lean fire. Now, lean fire is really special, and I admire the people who practice that frugality. That's a very, very frugal lifestyle. So people have retired, with less than $1 million in investments, right? So at the lean fire number, and this really depends on where you live, but I'm gonna say $36,000 a year. Okay. And that's gonna give you 900,000. If you multiply that by 25, so that would be $900,000 invested. So they're very unique because of the frugality, and they use that to kind of like just pay for the basic necessities. They're not necessarily working, but they're in a lower cost of living area. And I know a client of mine who retired in Thailand, and he's like, I really just need $1,000 a month to survive in Thailand. And he just kind of used the lean fire concept and say, well, that's all I really need, and I'm just going to move to another country and live on that, right? So is it possible in the US? Yes, it still is. So you just need to find a place where it's going to be $36,000 a year will pay for the expenses. If you tell me in the comment section that that's not possible, trust me, it is possible. You just haven't looked in every corner of the United States. Now, the next one is the more of a traditional fire, but I'm just going to say fire. So this income is more of a $75,000 a year. And if you multiply that by 25, that's going to be 1.875 million. I'm pretty good at math. No, I'm just kidding. I just have these memorized because I do it so many times. But that is typically the traditional fire, and to live on $75,000 a year, right? And then the next one, this is I would say chubby fire. I'm a fan of chubby fire because you do kind of go above that 75,000, and you have a little bit of cushion to have more entertainment. Not a little bit of cushion, but a lot of cushion, right? But if you double that, I'll just call it $155,000 a year. Okay. and that's going to be $3.875 million invested. So that's gonna Chubby Fire. There's a whole community on that too. People can pay for their luxury items, designer clothing. They want to go dine out every single month, or they want to go vacation to the Bahamas every year, and that kind of gives them more room to spend money. So Chubby Fire, you do need 3.875 million. And if you watch my other videos, I have put about 4 million, 4.5 million for my fire number, because I do want to travel and it's doable for me because I have so many income sources. I'm always going to have my business income. I'll talk about that in a second, but those income sources matter when it comes to fire calculation. Okay. Now, the biggest one is Fat Fire. There's a huge community on that too. So I have met several business owners who turn their small business into a like a small cap company, and they instantly became multimillionaires. 40 million, 50 million, that kind of thing. But these guys, at a minimum, they're making, I believe, it's like $215,000 a year. I don't know why that got highlighted. It just did it on its own. I didn't do that. But $215,000 a year. So that's going to give you, that's going to be 5.375 million for the fire number. Okay, I'm just going to highlight the fire number. So that's how much you need to have invested in order to fat fire, really. Okay, so but remember, your expenses matter the most, and you need to adjust it by inflation every single year and by listing all of your expenses. If you're too lazy to budget and understand where all your expenses are, this fire strategy is not going to be right for you. Okay. And you're not going to fire. I'm just going to tell you straight up, and I'm being truthful right now. If you do not budget, if you don't know where all your money is going, you're not going to achieve financial independence. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you want to achieve Chubby Fire, and you want to do, your goal is, let's break, you know what? I don't like that color. Hold on. Let's say you want to retire with 150K a year, right? I'm going to say you're always going to have some kind of business income coming in. And that's going to be, I don't know, let's break it down. Let's do 30K a year, because you're a minority stakeholder in your company and you have someone else running the company for you. So that's your business income. And in my instance, I have royalty income coming in. Okay. And you're like, whoa, royalty income, where's that from? YouTube, actually. So YouTube actually pays me royalty from all the ads that they get. I don't really have a choice in the ads, where to put the ads and stuff, but royalty income, right? I'm just going to use an example. I'm going to say 20K per year. All the videos that I published from 3 years ago, I'm still making money off of that. I have a video that got like 1.5 million views. I'm still making money off of that, which is really insane. And the other one is, let's say, real estate. So let's say in net profit, after all the CapEx, capital expenditures, and all the expenses, let's say you make 20K per year. I served in the military, so I'm just going to put, let's say, military pension. Give me a shout if you're a veteran. Military pension, let's say 30K per year, because I'm enlisted. I was enlisted, still am. Enlisted, and unless you're an officer, then you're making like 75K a year. What's another one? Let's say VA disability. Okay, it's not as common, but I'm just going to list it out, and I'm going to say 10K per year. Okay, so what you want to do, you want to add those up. Now, going back to the fire number. Okay, this is your fire number at 150,000, right? And 150, you always want to multiply and say, all right, here's 150 times 25, and that gives you 3.75 million, right? So that's how much you need to have invested. However, when you subtract all of these income sources, 30, 20, 20, 30, 10K a year, so 50, 70, 100, 110K. So if you subtract all of those, okay, which is a lot, but I know some people do, like me, will have multiple income sources. So 50, 70, 110K. Then if you do 150K in fire number and minus 110K, and that's going to give you 40K a year. So that means you need to have 40K multiplied by 25, 1 million. You need $1 million invested plus these income streams to retire early. So you see how you don't need all 3.75 million, but you just need 1 million because all of these income sources that are coming in. And obviously this is like probably one of the best case scenarios to have multiple 5 income streams coming in, but you can calculate that yourself too and say, I want to retire by 55. So if I want to retire by 55, I'm going to have 401k. If I have the rule of 55 with 401k, okay? So 401k, that would be traditional. And then let's say I have taxable brokerage. Okay. And let's say this is going to, traditional 401k is going to give me 40K per year. And I have another $1 million in taxable brokerage at 40K per year. Is that going to be enough to hit Chubby Fire? Probably no, right? So you need to either have more income sources or you just need to invest more. But that's how you really want to calculate how you're going to be financially independent. And I listed out all the different fire, poverty fire, lean fire, traditional fire, chubby fire, and fat fire. And a lot of people kind of misunderstand and say, well, I'm never going to get to 3.75 million. Okay. But did you list out all your other income sources? No. Okay, then let's do some math and do some calculations. So, if you're just joining in, play the tape back and then go over all of this, and help you figure out what's what. Okay. Appreciate the question. That's from the private group, and you can go to firestation.com/community to join my private group if you want to. All right. Let's see. Oh, and just to answer, I had someone ask me, my consultation schedule it gets booked up so fast. And I know I don't show the calendar on the website. I am going to work on showing that. But the problem is we have so many spam messages. People try to hack into our website and try to mess with our calendar and appointment schedules and everything. And privacy is really important to me, for me and my clients, right? So I'm going to try to figure out a way to show the calendar, our availability. But right now it's about 3 weeks out. So the next one I have available is not until like the 25th of February. So if you go to firestation.com/consultation, you're going to see the book the session, but you're going to notice that the calendar is not going to be visible because we're pretty booked up. So I do, sorry for the inconvenience, but just email us hello@firesidechat.com. So that's hello, right? And email us and let us know, hey, I want to book one, but I don't see a date that works for me. Just send us an email and we'll try to work something out for you. Okay. Should I withdraw my TSP now that there's chaos in the federal government? Oh man, I'm contemplating on answering this question. Is there a way to withdraw my TSP while I'm still working? Yes, there is a way to withdraw, but don't do it. Please don't. If you're in I'm guessing if you think you're going to lose your job because you're a federal employee, do not withdraw your TSP. Do not take that money out of your TSP because you got let go, or you took the early retirement or whatever that might be. Okay, I'm watching the news. I'm following what's going on with the federal employees and everything. But please do not take an early withdrawal from your TSP. I have gotten other emails from my from some of my clients and past clients saying that maybe I should take all the money out of the TSP because Elon Musk is going to take control of the TSP. You know, no, I don't think that's not going to happen. Okay. When you take money out of the TSP early, you're going to get a form 1099-R, and it's going to say non-qualified distribution. You're going to get taxed for federal, state, and if you live in New York, city income tax. You're going to get that 10% penalty on the earnings if you're in the Roth 401k or Roth TSP. If it's all traditional TSP, you could lose 40% of that value to the IRS. Don't use your emotions. Do not make decisions based on the emotions. I know there's a lot of uncertainty going on, but you need to look at it from a different perspective. Do you really want to lose 40% of your TSP because you think you're going to lose your job or there's a chaos going on? It doesn't matter. Do not take an early withdrawal. I hope I made that clear. So good question though. And just for the crowd, that's good. Yeah, Millionaire Next Door is incredible. Yeah, take a look. It is a very, very, very good book for everyone who is starting out. So, hey, I hope you're enjoying your lunch break. Yeah, that's good. Another question is now the best time to invest, even with the stock market volatility? Yes, it's always a good time to invest, and don't time the market. Even with the Chinese tariffs going on, and if you think that the market is crashing because of the tariffs and whatever's going on, I don't know why people have forgotten what 2019 or 2018 and 2019 was like. 2018, the market did the same thing. It just tanked, right? And it quickly recovered in 2019. 2019 was one of the best years in the market. But let me show you this, okay? When you look at the news media like this, and you're like, man, the market is crashing, S&P 500 is down. I mean, look at crude oil right now. It's already dropping it by 2%. So it's already kind of like the market's kind of like, tariffs, no big deal. S&P 500 back up above 6,000. Dow is up 200 points. Russell 2000 up by almost 1%, right? So no, I mean, don't time the market. Always be in the market. Okay, that's always the easiest way to do is when you try to think too much about what the market is doing, you're going to start losing money. The other day, when Nvidia dropped by, what is it? It tanked by 17% in one day, and I went in there and bought a lot of index funds and started buying into it. People really forget that they're buying at a discount. So the fear of getting into the market because of the volatility. Oh, I don't like seeing my $1,000 drop to, I don't know, $900 in a few months. I get it. You're like, man, where all that money go? It sucks, right? But you have to remember to always be in the market because that market could recover within a few days, and it did. From Nvidia crash, it recovered within the very next day. Everything just kind of recovered. It said, no big deal. DeepSeek AI, well, that's not really going to do much for us. Cool. The AI scare and all that. If you can't stomach that kind of volatility, turn off the news. Set a schedule for your contributions. Your 401k should always be scheduled. Your Roth IRA, your brokerage account, whatever. Just set a schedule. Set the amount that you're going to contribute to, and forget about it. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to buy high and sell low, right? Like, are you going to buy when the prices are at an all-time high? No, right? You want to always invest in that. Just set a schedule every week or every 2 weeks. I think I buy every Friday. That's how I schedule mine. And every Friday I have my contributions being invested. So no, don't think too much into the stock market volatility, especially when it comes to your retirement. I don't really care about tariffs. It's not going to affect my investments. Is it going to rise the prices of our goods? Yes, they will. They are going to. With the tariffs in place, yeah, we're going to have to end up spending more money. What's that going to do to our GDP? Yeah, it's going to go down a little. right? But in the long term, I am not worried about my retirement accounts because of what's going on today, next week, or next month. I care more about what happens from now and 20 years from now. Okay. Okay, I'll take one last question. Let's see. Oh, that's a good one. Is it always best to lump sum invest the Roth IRA or dollar cost average? So this right here, I want to show you this. I know somebody sent this to me earlier, and I do want to answer this. So what's better, lump sum investing or dollar cost averaging? Me, when it comes to Roth IRA, I always lump sum invest. So when it comes to dollar cost averaging, you can do, let's say $292 a month to your Roth IRA. And I'm sorry, not a month, $292 every on the 1st and the 15th to your Roth IRA. That would be dollar cost averaging because you're kind of spreading that $7,000 throughout the next 12 months, right? I choose to do lump sum investing, just my Roth IRA, because I do the backdoor Roth IRA conversion from my traditional IRA to a Roth IRA in January every year. And that when that $7,000 hits from traditional IRA to Roth IRA for the backdoor conversion, I just put all of that money into my investment and I just kind of like fire and forget. Okay. That's how it's been done. And what I have noticed is that my lump sum investing by far performs better than the dollar cost averaging, except for 2022. Because 2022, when I put that 60, it was a 6,500, that was the Roth IRA contribution limit. When I put 6,500 in January 2022, I lost about a whole 24% of that in just that 1 year. But when I dollar cost average my investments, let's say my 401k and my brokerage account, I lost probably about 17 to 18% because I bought on the schedule every Friday, and the market volatility when it was high, when it was low. So I was always buying into the market. When I lump sum invest, I just put that whole $7,000 into one investment or multiple investments. I set it and forget it. So when it's a positive year, like 2023 and 2024, when the S&P 500 did 50% return, right, total, give or take, I made 50% return. But when I dollar cost average, it was more like 40% return. Okay. Does that 10% make a big difference? Yeah, absolutely. But why did people choose dollar cost averaging? It's because it's psychological. People are always wondering if we're going to have a market crash in 2025, if we're going to have a negative year. So because of that, just the psychological aspect of it, people choose to just schedule their investments and they just set it and forget it. So they don't try to worry about what the market is doing or what's going on with geopolitics and stuff like that. And they just leave it be. And when it comes to lump sum investing, it's the same thing. You just set it and forget it. But when the market goes down heavily, you're going to see some pain from that lump sum investing. But if you look at Vanguard research, it says lump sum investing versus dollar cost averaging. Lump sum outperforms cost averaging 68% of the time, because how many bull markets do we have in a decade, right? So we're in 2025 right now. 2020, 2021, 23, and 24. That's 4 out of 5 years were bull market years. In 2022 was the bear market year when S&P 500 was down like negative 20%, 21, 22%. Nope, less than that. It's actually 19%, I think. So you have that 1 year that's bear market and the lump sum is going to lose. And dollar cost averaging outperforms cash 69% of the time. And then you have lump sum investing versus cash. That's 70% of the time. Now, this is the research done by Vanguard, and you can kind of look it up, DCA versus lump sum investing. I think it's really interesting to read. When it comes to like 401k, I'm always going to be dollar cost averaging because that's a larger amount at 23,500. So I'm always going to kind of dollar cost average that every 2 weeks or every week. But when it comes to Roth IRA, I just kind of sit and forget it. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's all going to come down to your the psychology of money, right? So, how do you feel about putting all of your money at once, and how does it feel about, you know, if the market tanks by 10, 15, or 20%? Can you stomach that loss when you look at the balance sheet, right? If you can't, dollar cost average it. If you can, lump sum invest it. So, good question though. All right, guys. I think that's it. I need to go. I got a lot of stuff to do, but please check out the free resources, firesightchat.com/resources, and you can check out the net worth calculator. I got the fire calculator that I talked about throughout this live stream, and I have the what else do I have? Some of the debt payoff tracker that you can borrow. That's more of a basic version of it. But if you do want more comprehensive stuff to personalize your personal finance, just go to firesightchat.com/pricing and then check out some of the products and services that we have. We have an amazing team. We're really optimistic about 2025. No matter what happens, we'll be okay. All right. But just let me know what your thoughts are on the whole Q&A and the video, and I'll see you guys again in the next live stream in 2 weeks.